Newest edition of the Blackhawks Hockey Central podcast. I am your host, Joe Vitali, and I am with Skoks as always. Today we're going to be just lots of tidbits of the Blackhawks in the news and some other important things happening around the league that we're going to get you going on. So I guess we'll start out first with a signing. Blackhawks legend Pius Suter signing with the Vancouver Canucks. 2-year, $1.6 million. So that's 2 years, 3.2. 27 years old, just a solid middle bottom six centerman. And Canucks are desperate for centermen. So Pius is probably going to be third line center. Might even wager a gander for second line center or second line winger.
Right. Pius Suter was a pretty fun player when we had him. Right. He had, what was it, 20-something points, I think. But yeah, like a smaller guy, like a smaller stature type. But he's a decent middle six player, right? Just plug him in, has some speed, has some talent all around the net. Putting the puck in the net, but minimum deal. The Canucks are a confusing team, right? But hey, good for Pius.
Yeah, there's a like a lot of teams that seem to just. I know you can exceed the cap by 10%. So
Right.
I guess that would be 8.4 or $8.5 million. But like going into the offseason, the Canucks were over and they were like spending like assets to get like Philip Hronek and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't understand what they're doing. Like they have, Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes and Thatcher Demko all are really good players. I would say Elias Pettersson is borderline superstar up front.
Right.
Quinn Hughes, I would say borderline superstar on the back end. I'm not going to say Thatcher Demko is a superstar. He was good, and last year he was awful. As you know from our fantasy episode where
Right.
we discussed both having him and me being too stubborn to drop him when I should have dropped him a really, really long time ago. So Pius Suter, 2 years, Vancouver Canucks. In 21-22 for the Detroit Red Wings, he played all 82 games and had 36 points. So
Yeah.
is that good? No. But 36 points is nothing to scoff at. And that's right in that third line type production that you're going to be looking for. So all more power to him.
Yeah. Good for Pius. 2 years. Yeah. Fun contract for him. So sticking with like around the league, I guess we could hop into David Krejci retiring from the Boston Bruins. I think we all saw this coming, right? With Bergeron calling it, obviously. I think they're just gonna go out as a tandem, and hey, that worked perfectly. Pretty much.
Yeah, I know. Like last week, they were like, it was stated like, oh yeah, David Krejci, he's gonna like come back to Boston to announce his retirement, and like it was gonna be this big fanfare or whatever. That didn't end up happening.
No.
And a week later, he made the decision, obviously legitimate, and so yeah, as we were talking a little bit off screen, as soon as Bergeron retired, I'm sure he was like, okay, well, it's my turn too, because he's 36 and he's not going to be their first line center to carry them through whatever. He took a leap year, he took a gap year, came back, had one more go at it. Best regular season team of all time in the NHL, couldn't get it done in the playoffs. So yeah, it's a huge loss, Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci for the Bruins.
Hmm.
They're going to be an interesting team. They might not even make the playoffs next season.
Yeah. I would not be surprised with it. They just they've lost a lot of depth, right? Mainly their center depth. Their 1C could be like, I mean, geez, I think Charlie Coyle's still there.
Yeah, is
So
it Pavel Zacha? I think
yeah,
he's on
Pavel
there. He'll probably
Zacha.
be first line,
Yeah.
which is not much of an upgrade from a Charlie Coyle, or
No.
whoever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. They're all like middle six type of guys, but it's gonna be interesting with Boston, right? So staying in the area, something going on with the Philadelphia Flyers. Their young goaltender that they I believe is still a prospect. Yeah.
yeah, he's the
Mhm.
one who got like borderline kidnapped by the KGB or whoever it was.
Wow.
They
Yeah.
like he was a prospect and he was doing well, and then Russia came over and was like, "Hey, you didn't do your service."
Mhm.
And he was like, "Oh no, I have an exemption. I'm an athlete." And they were like, "No, you don't." And then they like kidnapped him and brought him back
Wow.
to Russia. And then he did his mandatory service,
Yeah.
and he was playing in the KHL, I want to say.
Mhm.
And then I believe his agent was probably the one who filed this motion to get him back to the United States, to the Philadelphia Flyers,
Mhm.
because he's like a legitimate prospect. Like he's
Mhm.
a good goaltender,
Wow.
and so yeah, so now I think he's banned by the IIHF
Mhm.
from international play for the next couple months, like 4 months,
Yep.
while they try and get him back over to honor his contract with the Philadelphia Flyers.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, so he's probably going to come back. I think the Flyers, they have Cal Peterson, the young kid I can never
Mhm.
remember.
Carter Hart.
Carter Hart.
Right.
I know him by his very vulgar nickname of him not being that good.
Mhm.
Carter Hart, and then they had that other kid
Yeah.
who
Yeah. There
was
was one
like
more.
not good,
Mhm.
but still got games in for them.
Yeah.
So
Um.
it'll be good for the Flyers org to have uh maybe it might even do a little something something between leagues, like between
Mhm.
KHL and NHL, to kind of so that the NHL can kind of flex its muscles and say like, hey, no, we're the premier hockey league, and yeah, I know you realize you want him, but he signed a contract with him. It's legally binding. He has to use it, and maybe they can just kind of tell Russia
Mhm.
to go away.
Right. And I think they are trying to do that because just from the announcement that they put out, the Flyers and the dispute over goaltender Ivan Fedotov, his contract with the CSKA Moscow, he's suspended for 4 months, and CSKA are banned from international player transfers for 1 year. So obviously they're trying to push back on it and get him over here, right? So that's something to keep an eye on down the road. Interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So right now, Flyers goaltending depth: Cal Peterson, Carter Hart, Felix Sandstrom. That was the guy
Right.
I was thinking about. And then they also had Samuel Urson. He
Mhm.
got in some games, I believe, as well.
Right.
Um, so they'll just be, obviously more,
Mhm.
more depth, and at the goaltending position, you could just look at the Blackhawks last season.
Mhm.
Mrazek went down, so then
Yep.
Soderblom took over, and then Mrazek came back, but then Stalock got hurt, and
Mhm.
it was like, oh well, they have to sign Dylan Wells really quick and bring him up to,
Oh yeah.
back up, and it was kind of a fiasco.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
no such
Cycle.
things, yeah, no such thing as too much goaltending depth.
No, no. It is interesting with Carter Hart because his name was thrown around a lot during trade season, right?
Yeah,
And I don't know what's going to happen with Carter Hart. to be honest with you. But uh, too bad, too bad because he showed promise, right? Uh, Coming into the league a few years ago, but it just doesn't seem like it's a healthy spot for him still. Um,
Yes,
it's
I agree.
weird. Yeah, it's definitely weird with Carter Hart.
What I saw was, like, he came into the league, he
Hmm.
played well, and then all of a sudden, all the Flyers fans were like, "Alright, this is it. This is our Ron Hextall. This is our, Ilya Brizgalov when he was, like, awesome,"
Yeah.
and or like our Boucher, our
Hmm.
Bobby Boucher, um, to, uh Brian Boucher. But,
Hmm.
like, this is our goaltender, and so they were like, "Alright, he's the best." Then once he started, he had all that weight on his shoulders
Hmm.
from, like, "Okay, he's our number 1 franchise goaltender, build around him and we're good." And
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, well, he faltered a bit, and then it was like everyone turned on him
Hmm.
and whatever. So, is there still a good goaltender under all of that? I'm sure of it. But so, maybe a change of scenery might be what he
Yeah.
needs. I
Exactly.
heard like Buffalo was really interested in him. I don't know why, but
Hmm.
there are teams out there that I think could use him. And maybe if he goes to a smaller market,
Hmm.
where the pressure is kind of off, maybe he can blossom back into that star potential goaltender. But
Yeah. Right.
yeah, interesting career for him.
Yeah.
Just like kind of goes the way that a lot of prospects have gone, like the Hawks with Kirby Doc.
Hmm.
Kirby Doc, oh, well, he's 6'4" and he can play center. He's going to be a beast.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not quite the case, and he's finding a little bit more. Not that he went to a smaller market team by any means, but
Hmm.
he's moved on. Change of scenery has been pretty good for him. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot to be said about the pressure put on these prospects.
Hmm. It's interesting, right? Um, a post from Frank Cervalli. Awful news, right? Uh, Obviously, Maple Leafs 2020 first round pick Rodion Amarov has passed away after a brave 2-year battle from a brain tumor that he was diagnosed with a few years ago, and that's 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 too bad, just for a young player like that, just to go out and not great.
Yeah, it's a gut punch for sure.
Yeah.
21 years old, really, really promising future.
Hmm.
Maple Leafs exhausted all their resources to try and get him the help he needed,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, it wasn't enough. So, condolences to his family,
Hmm.
and we'll, yeah, it's like I said, man, it just sucks, plain and simple.
Hmm.
You don't want to see that happen to such a young person.
Hmm.
Uh,
Exactly.
but moving on to better stuff, The Athletic came out with a nice article about the analytic departments of each team.
Hmm.
And the Chicago Blackhawks have 9 members of their analytic team, which is leading the NHL. The
Hmm.
next two closest would be Seattle Kraken and Toronto Maple Leafs, with 8 at each position,
Hmm.
respectively. Uh, you know, Not entirely sure there's anything to delve really too deep into about that. Hockey is a very random game, so you can't say that analytics are useless
Hmm.
and to just use the eye test, because obviously there are patterns and whatnot.
Hmm.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a bunch of 200-pound guys on eighth of an inch skate blades,
Right.
with a rubber object that they're slapping around. So,
Yeah.
there's just a lot of randomness
Exactly.
that you can't really calculate. But other than that, it'd be nice to see maybe, with the game going to more speed skill type
Hmm.
business, maybe see some free agents or whatnot that are maybe a little bit older,
Mhm.
but they drive play really well, and it's not just oh, they'll hit someone, they'll fight someone, they're good in the locker room, they'll take the rookies out to dinner, you know,
Mhm.
maybe it can just, they can work in harmony together, eye test, analytics test to get a true 100% full picture to make more informed decisions.
Right. I love seeing the investment in these type of departments, right? Just having more bodies in the room doing the work, doing research, right? Like the Bears, when the new front office came in, they completely uprooted the place, um, bringing in professionals that know what they're doing in their own departments, right? And that's good to see that the Hawks are bringing in bigger departments, in investing more, and I think that's just going to help us out, right? In the long term future. It's great to see, man.
Yeah.
It's great to see.
Jeff Greenberg heading that team, the ex-GM, I want to say, of the
Hmm.
Cubs. So
Right, right.
obviously, lots of people have seen Moneyball and whatever,
Hmm.
and in baseball, analytics are they're
Oh
it.
yeah,
They're
they are key.
yeah, very
Yeah.
key. So very
Right.
interesting to see that cross sport kind
Hmm.
of blending.
Hmm.
So, in a league such as the MLB that relies heavily on analytics, and then to have
Hmm.
him come over to the NHL Blackhawks and head that department, get those types of analytics in, cool to see for sure.
Oh yeah. Exactly, man. And basically, checking out a Hawks legend, Marion Hossa, posting on his Instagram page the official roster for his what do you want to call it? Like last hoorah, right?
Yeah,
Last hoorah game, and I'll just rattle it off really quick for you. The official roster. So on defense, we have Lidstrom, Chara, uh, Bondra, Bufflin, Jalmerson. Going with some forwards, Havlat, Hossa, obviously Sharp, Kopecky, Alfredson, Hamzus. Taser's going to be there. Satan, Littner, Mrazek, current Hawks legend, current. Roosevelt, Sekera, Wisnowski, have not heard of him. Zetterberg, Keith, Halak, Darling, Palfi, Oduya, Pavlikovsky, Hudler, Kempney, Hawks legend, Holmstrom, Tatar. That's interesting.
that is
I,
interesting because he should.
I'm guessing that's Tomas.
Yeah,
That has to be, yeah. That's interesting, definitely. Teravainen, Kruger, Lilia, and oh no. Oh, okay. So Hossa has a brother. It's Marcel Hossa and Marion.
no, nice.
Yeah,
I
I totally forgot about that.
I think
Yeah.
Marcel played, I wanna say he played, like, 2 games
Hmm. Really.
in the show. I could be wrong. Let me just
Yeah.
check it really quick.
I think the most interesting player that he brought in here, I loved Marty Havlat.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so cool, man. Like I would throw in NHL like '06, '07, and Marty Havlat's like the premier guy on the roster at the time, right? Because Tays and Kane are just coming in. Keith and Seabrook are super young, so Havlat was like that face of the Hogs, like in the game. Uh, Crazy. I believe he was number 24 back in the day.
Yeah,
That's
for
great.
sure. Well, do you when he was, like, younger, he was like
Yeah,
not like a superstar, but he was, like, a really
great
good
player.
player.
Yeah, yeah. I should look up more highlights of him, man. I believe he was on the Wild before. I think he was the Minnesota Wild. Yeah,
Okay,
awesome
he
roster.
played a lot more than, 2
Right.
games, Marcel, in the
Oh,
in the NHL.
Marcel. Right.
He played 237 games in the
Oh,
NHL
wow.
for
Okay,
61
okay.
points. Not his brother, I'll tell you that.
No, no, not Marion, no.
And that
Not
Visnovsky
Marion.
guy, he, I believe, is a defenseman, smaller guy, played for the
Mhm.
Islanders and
Oh, wow.
got into concussion trouble, I
Yeah.
believe.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and, yeah, I just a random guy. I think, I think I probably had him in Hockey Ultimate Team
Mhm.
or,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, it's cool to see Nick Lidstrom officially on here. Detroit legend, obviously, but,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, because he brought in guys that he played with all around, right? Uh, a few guys that just seem like, I don't know, just close friends and not, superstars, right? It just seems like they're just friends. Visnovsky, never heard of him. Pavlikovsky, probably from his Euro leagues over there, right? Obviously,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, nice, 883 games played for Visnovsky,
Oh, wow,
Lubomir?
wow. I think so. Yeah,
And,
yeah.
yeah, let's see here. I wanna see his highest point total, 10-11 with the Anaheim Ducks. 81 games played, 68 points.
Really?
How are ya?
Jeez. All
Lubomir,
right. Never
let's
mind then.
go.
You know.
But he is Slovakian, so there you go.
Okay. Okay. There. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple old timers on there. I see.
And
Yeah.
speaking of Hockey Ultimate Team, your
Yeah.
2024 NHL cover athlete, Cale Makar. Um,
Yeah.
it's it's awesome for him because he's such a young player. Um,
Right.
you know, Norris Trophy. Did he win the Conn Smythe and the Stanley Cup?
I believe so. I think so, but I could be wrong.
Let's
But I believe he
I'll
did.
double check the math. Not a
Yeah.
math guy, so
Mhm. Yeah, and he's the first defenseman since PK Subban in NHL 19 or 20. He was on the cover. So first defenseman in a few years, 3 4 years.
okay, he did not win the Conn Smythe.
Oh,
I
really?
thought I could have sworn he did, but according to Hockey Reference, it is
Hmm.
Cup, Calder, and, obviously with the Calder comes the all-rookie team.
Right.
He's already a 3x All-Star, dude, come on.
Yeah. Great player, man. I was predicting actually Jack Hughes
Mm,
from his you know
Captain America
blow up.
himself.
Yeah, yeah, right. Uh,
He did have a
but
breakout
hey,
season, so I could see
yeah,
that for sure.
yeah. If not, probably next year or very very soon. But
Definitely.
yeah. Mario Terabasi put out an interesting tidbit. Uh, Cale Makar is the 37th hockey player to be on the cover of NHL video game series, right? So EA Sports. Six have won at least one individual award in the season they were on the cover. Only one has won the Stanley Cup in the season they were on the cover. So obviously, NHL 10, Patrick Kane.
It's the best. He's the GOAT.
Awesome.
It's
I
it's
mean,
solidified.
the only player to be on the cover that won that year, the Cup. That's interesting.
That is
That's pretty interesting.
that is
Yeah.
really wild. And
Mhm.
then going back to, relatives playing Marcel Hossa,
Yeah.
Marian Hossa, turns
Mhm.
out that Connor Bedard's great-great-uncle,
Mhm.
James, played 22 games for the Chicago Blackhawks in the 1949-1951 season and scored, had 2 points. Um,
Mhm.
I think they were both assists,
Mhm.
but, let's find out.
Hmm. Yeah, that might be the most interesting little Bedard tidbit of the summer, like for me at least. I mean, that's pretty cool. No one really knew anything about that.
Yeah.
1949.
Okay.
That's
Yeah. So in 1949-50, he played 5 games for the Hawks, just 2 PIMs. And then
hmm
50-51, 17 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. So he scored a goal in the
wow.
show. Good for him.
Uh, did he have the same last name?
Yes, Jim Bedard.
Really? So it's wow.
James
That's
Leo Bedard, born 1927, November
jeez.
19th.
And the family didn't know anything.
It's
Really.
very
That's interesting.
interest. Yeah.
That's
Oh, he was a defenseman.
really.
No, that explains the lack of production then.
Yeah, yeah.
He was a
I mean, that's
left shot, 6 foot, 175
wow.
from Admiral, Saskatchewan.
Mhm.
Played a lot in the WHL,
Mhm.
Western
Wow.
Hockey League.
In the 40s.
Yeah. So he
Jeez.
had 231 games played in the Western Hockey League.
Mhm.
Uh, 45 points, 319 penalty minutes. So I think he liked to beat people
Yeah.
up.
And it has all of his stats still?
Oh yeah.
Wow,
Started
that's
in
insane.
45-46, ended in 57-58.
Wow. That's awesome. That is awesome.
So he was on the Moose Jaw Canucks in
Wow.
the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League.
Yeah. Jimmy Bedard.
Jimmy
Jimmy.
Jimmy Bedard.
That's sick. Um and rewind to, or should I say, like, flash forward to current day. Connor Bedard had his promo video and promo like video shoot or photo shoot also with Sherwood brand.
Yes.
So he this is the first full padded uniform in a Hawks jersey for Connor Bedard. So if you want to check that out, that's on the Sherwood social medias, and he has a few pictures and like a short 10-second video trailer of Connor taking like a wrist shot. But it is unbelievable. It just looks unreal. What Sherwood's putting out for him, awesome.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned it before. Sherwood
Hmm.
probably riding the nostalgia wave that people are obsessed with,
Hmm.
and getting a top guy like Bedard
Yeah.
to showcase that. But I mean, the stuff that he's wearing, it looks really sick.
Oh yeah.
I really like his stick too, the Wrecker, I think it's
Hmm.
called,
Right. Hmm.
um, which I think is a sweet name for a stick regardless. So,
Yeah.
and
He's gonna wreck shop, man. He has Sherwood gloves also. Uh, Great to see. And I know we went over some of his gear before, but it seems like that's official now. Yeah, so he has the gloves and stick. Pretty sure the helmet and skates are obviously different brand, whether it's Bauer. Yeah, great stuff. Uh, a few tidbits on Hawks prospects, Russian prospects. A few goals, a few assists. Ilya Safonov getting a nice shootout goal. We have it on our Twitter, or the X app that we call it now. A few impressive goals from Safonov. Roman Kanserov, the 2023 second round pick by the Hawks. He also got on the score sheet here. 1 or 2 goals and 1 or 2 assists over the weekend. That's great to see, right?
yeah.
I think there is this a preseason or I think maybe it's just starting up now. Not
I
too
think I
sure.
think it's KHL preseason right now.
Yeah, I think it is preseason. That's awesome. Seeing some hockey over there in Russia. Roman Kantarov showing up early. That's awesome to see. So a few goals, a few assists, tying the game up. Ilya Safonov getting a nice deflection in front of the net. Not sure if they end up winning that game, but it's good to see him contributing because I believe he's a bit older, Safonov, and there's been some chatter with him whether he's going to come over soon, but I hope that gets worked out because this guy's been playing very well in yeah KHL, and it's great to see that with the overseas guys. Um, that's pretty much all from the Hawks prospects because this is obviously in Russia, and everyone else is still chilling in summer break here.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
Um,
and if you ever, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
hmm
There's I was just looking up the elite prospects pages for those guys, just studying them.
hmm
So it
right,
appears that Sturov,
hmm
he is in the MHL, which is like
oh,
the
really?
AHL of the
KHL.
AHL, the KHL, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
So he was doing really, really well. Still a little undersized.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. Right.
44th overall pick, as I think you
hmm
mentioned. And so, we'll let him over-ripen. I think he's still only 19. If he's
Right.
19 playing in the MHL, those are men in that league. So,
Yeah.
um, good for him. Keep it up, and maybe we'll see him sooner rather than later.
hmm Yeah. And like I mentioned, Safonov also, I believe he's a little older, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with our guys overseas like that.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
he's like 23.
yeah. He's been over there for quite a while now, so we'll see what happens with him soon.
Is that
Hopefully.
Safonov, Safinov?
Mhm. Safonov. Yeah.
Ilya
Uh, mhm,
Safonov.
mhm,
01. So
mhm.
usually when you see 01, you're kind of expecting them to start making some moves. Yeah, 2021,
Yeah.
6th round, 172, 6'4", 205, shoots left.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
Mhm.
So yeah, KHL last season, 64 games played, 37 points.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and was the associate captain last season and is not, so he got stripped of his captaincy.
Wow. That's
That's probably
interesting.
probably nothing. They're just rotating the kids out, in and out.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Or if they see that he's close to coming over, right? Then they're changing up the leadership roles a bit.
Exactly. With
But
that size, 6'4", 205, he
yeah.
could be a menace.
Mhm. Yeah. And he's more of like a slender 6'4", similar to like a Kirby Doc,
Hmm.
right? But hey, I see some pretty good finish from him around the net. It looks like he's putting some pucks in the net uh, to start the year, at least. Um, that's good to see.
Yeah, that's
hmm
awesome. 22. I want to say Pius Suter, Michael
hmm
Kempney, Jan Ruda. I think all of these guys came over in their mid 20s. So,
Yeah,
uh,
Panarin.
yeah, and Calhoun and Kubelik as well. I think
Right,
they
right,
were
right.
all like kind of established players in the European leagues. So,
hmm
you know, what the heck? Why not?
hmm
You can't teach 6'4", so bring them over, put them on the Hogs. Who cares? No rules.
Right, right. Yeah, and if he carves out a role, like if he's on the on the Ice Hogs, and he's excelling, right? Hey, bring him up to the big team, and let's see what he can do, right? Middle six type of player. Let's see. Let's get it
Yeah,
going.
can put him on the
Yeah.
penalty kill, put him on the power play,
Right.
maybe as a net front guy, just to
Hmm.
see. You can always experiment with him. Get him on the North American ice, get him on that smaller ice and see
Right.
if he
Right.
can react to that quickness that you need. I
Hmm.
think it's going to do it, though, for this edition of the Chicago Blackhawks Hockey Central podcast. Thank you for joining us. Happy Monday. It's a new week, and go Hawks.